more towards Vulcan, but they have that in their first choice. Kindred locked in for Kenvi. He is known for this champion.
Yeah, this is actually how I started following Kenvi. Kindred is my most played champion, and I always am looking out for some of the best players of this champion. I started watching him, in Academy and in Amateur and on Ladder because he was such a crazy Kindred player.
This is what we knew him for in Academy 2 years ago when he was playing on 100 Thieves, even 100 Thieves Next before getting promoted to 100 Thieves Academy. And I know that he had that one rough Kindred game earlier this split.
They won that game.
They won that game. The Baron play was a little rough, but he is still known for this, and it's kind of back into the meta. We're going back to that carry meta as opposed to all the Sejuanis and Maokai.
Absolutely, and I think you also just have to give respect over to the players that are excellent Kindred players because it can be a really dangerous champion. We've seen Pyoshik take bans against it all split long. We've seen a lot of bans thrown towards Kenvi as well. And you also have to keep in mind, 2 out of the 3 wins for Immortals, 1 is on Kindred, 1 is on Graves. It is when he's playing these carry-style champions.
That's what he's known for. That's what he specialized in. But inspired on the Lee Sin. I mean, this guy is one of the best Lee Sins in this region and also can just kick the Kindred out of that ult. It kind of counters it in those team fights. Pairing it with the Sion, they got the front line, they got the engage, and now Immortals are answering with a more defensive pick. They go for the Galio.
Yeah, the Galio, though, I will say, is one of the best pairings with the Kindred. Having that ultimate to be layered over top of that Kindred ultimate is so powerful. If you can actually time it to land right as the Kindred ultimate is expiring into the taunt, it can be really difficult to deal with. Allows Kindred to play a lot more aggressively in some of these situations.
And Bolulu had an insane Galio last week. He was doing Galio. I know Galio combos is probably a very tame thing to say, but he was consistently picking people off, hitting 3
he punched
champ
in and then he taunted
him.
him.
Yeah, he ran in there and justice punched. But it was just cool to see him pilot that because he's known for more of the artillery mages, the long range. Also, his Galio is clutch. We got the Camille ban, the Gwen ban, along with the Rise and the Zeri. So Immortals on the red side get their red 4, and it is Ksante.
Yeah, so Ksante going to be coming out. I've been kind of getting less and less hot on the Ksante, it feels like, over the weeks. I mean, it does fine. It feels serviceable. But honestly, it's been a long time since I feel like I've seen a Ksante outperform the Sion. And when Sion can be blinded and Ksante is the answer, it does feel pretty underwhelming because we haven't been able to see Ksante's actually create any significant lane advantage. They're not really outperforming in the 5v5. I think the execution is much more difficult on the Ksante because to have a team fight where you're more successful than the Sion, you basically have to kidnap someone important out and soul them. Where Sion kind of just has to stand there and soak damage.
And honestly, I felt that way about Revenge's champ pool for a lot of the split. He's playing things that I don't always agree are the best in the meta currently, but that's Revenge as a player, man. He's got the faith in himself. He's one of the most ambitious top laners in the league. So he's piloting that one while FBI and Vulcan get the Lucian Nami combo.
Yeah, going for Lucian Nami, and that means it is going to be Annie mid for Jojo, so it is much more early game, much more mid game here for EG, especially the damage dealers. Really lacking range is going to be their big struggle come to later stages of the game, unless FBI can pilot the solution really well. And on the other side, you have some very easily guaranteed engage. You have point and click Nautilus ultimate. You have the follow-up there, from the Galio, from the Varus ultimate as well. And you have the ability to absorb some of these initial engages with that Kindred ult. So we'll see if Kenvi can actually position well, because the trick is to be close enough to someone like that Varus that you can save them with the Kindred ult without getting caught in those anti-stuns yourself, because they're under their tower, because you're ending up just kind of flipping the game on it.
Here we
really
go.
Isn't worthwhile.
Logged into the game, Evil Geniuses chasing top 2 to finish in the regular season, guarantee that top 2 spot in playoffs, and Immortals looking to play upset right now. Their playoff dreams have been dashed, but a win is a win, and it would feel good, especially against a team like EG. So fan out start, no early invades.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's worth noting that is Phase Rush for Bolulu, something that he actually played last time around as well. So you're touching on the fact that, hey, maybe you can attack this Galio, but most people are building AP these days, and if you're not going Aftershock, you're not actually that tanky.
True.
Obviously, you have some damage reduction while you're channeling the W. You do have your magic damage passive that you can absorb some damage there. But I do think if he is getting a little bit aggressive, he can absolutely be attacked.
He's got the Dark Seal first item, so Bolulu is guaranteed going that AP build, feeling himself right now. We see the junglers starting both on the top halves of the map, so we have a match start, pathing bot side, you presume. Yeah. It makes sense with the tank top laners. I highly doubt we'll see much action.
You don't want to play for the Sion instead of Lucian?
Well, the funny thing is, if you watch TSM Challengers, sometimes they'll do that, but most other teams don't.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you are playing these comps, I think especially like EG is playing, when you have Annie, when you have Lucian, you're very mid-range, you're very kind of short range here. And you can see they're actually fake leashing on bot side. They were waiting a long time in Stride Rush there to try to at least pretend. Maybe they threw some autos in or they did something. So trying to not give away exactly where they're starting potentially because they show up late to lane, so did the Sion. So maybe a little bit of misinformation given there, and we'll see if Inspired can do anything creative with that, because he is one of those guys that I do think can really mix things up in these early minutes and sometimes get big advantages with the pathing.
And the only information the Immortals are going to be operating with is the ward in the river as Fleshy goes in for an early dredge line onto FBI, trading some damage on AD carry versus support. So what they know is Inspired has not invaded, but they really don't know much more about Inspired's path.
Yeah, exactly. They're not exactly sure, you know, was he doing something on that bot side? Was he doing something on the top side? Where is he going to be heading to? So you do have to give it a little bit of thought. You know, I don't think they're going to have fully bought out because EG didn't spend any mana, so they showed up with full mana on bot side. So maybe if they're missing a little bit of mana, they would have.
You don't go for the manaless leashes on your jump?
Sometimes. Depends how greedy you are.
Just Nami autos, man. That's all you need to do.
You're not going to throw him a heal. That's how you get the ganks. It's bribing.
True.
You give a good leash, you're more likely to get ganked.
Yeah, I played too many games in Profa. I know what that's like.
Yeah, you don't want those ganks.
Nah,
That's just giving red buff and blue buff to your
He's going to smite the cannon on the walk out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Throws in, misses the spear, hops in, smites the cannon. All right, thanks, Rafa. Appreciate that.
He's saying false behind us right now. We all know it's true. Inspired is on the red buff, though. Still going for that full clear as of now. Kenvi and him are neck and neck on their race down in the full clear towards the bottom side. I don't even know necessarily if they'll go for a gank down there. If you're the Kindred, is there an angle where you could look for something here?
I think the only thing you would be doing would be covering the push, more likely. You really want to set up to be on the scuttle on spawn, make sure you're getting those early marks. It is kind of that race towards 4 Kindred marks. He did just reveal where he was, and he won the RNG Lotto because the mark is actually spawning on that bot side scuttle that he has prio for. So the pushing lane on bot side is what he's able to play around. That earns him his first mark. And you are honestly so happy when you get a freebie like that, right from the word go, because it is so much about that race to 4. You need that additional range to really have success in the mid game and in that late game, or team fighting is just way more difficult.
And unless you're in like Iron, Elo, and able to just like kill everybody level 1, you're probably not going to get there too quickly. So he's on a good pace for right now as Inspired takes the opposite scuttle and will now go for a back new Doug duo.
Freak's dead. He's off the LCS, so
no, Freak is saving League of Legends. So I'm feeling it.
Saving or ruining it, depending on the patch.
True.
You can't give him a freebie. Got to prove himself every week.
It's the perfect scapegoat now. Anytime we don't like the patch, we don't like the meta,
Classic Freak.
Call him out.
Yep.
They're going to start adding puns to the patch notes. Yeah.
Caitlyn mana getting buffed first patch.
Kenvi might look for a gank here. Galio can set these up. If you go for the Justice Punch into the Shield of Durin taunt. Now, but Kenvi was spot on the ward. That's a lot of vision, actually, to spot Kenvi.
Yep, and so much about tracking that. Kindred can look for these ganks, but isn't the most powerful ganker unless you're kind of overextended in a lane or you have really strong gank assist. So any sort of pre-warning is generally going to keep you safe in those situations. But as long as you're farming quickly, you're not feeling too bad. Inspired also not seeming to feel too much pressure here, at all. I think they are really playing a comp on the side of EG that is spiking around one item, like pretty much across the board. When you're looking at Lucian Nami, when you have Gale Force and Mandate, when you have your first mythic completed for the Annie as well as Lee Sin, that's when they really, really want to fight.
I was pointing out, Vulcan was backing. It would have been a mixed reset from FBI and Vulcan, but Vulcan actually sticks around as Immortals will probably both reset at the same time. Okay, he's catching the wave. Nice. So they're going to try and get a freeze down here, bot lane, as Jojo will teleport back in the lane. Maybe a setup for a potential dragon over the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, now Vulcan is going to look for the base, and it's always a play that is worthwhile because as long as you're not overextending and risking a death on those plays, when you hold the wave like that, Tactical can't really afford in most cases to cancel his base and try to push it in because he's going to be so off tempo and you're going to get caught in this lane where you have no buy. Lucian has already arrived back with Serrated Dirk and then you can't really lane effectively anymore. So it is going to mean that he's going to lose about a wave of minions that are going to get denied. So it will be a slight advantage over to the EG side, and we'll see if they can make anything of that. It is not a race straight towards the Mythic. It is that pit stop for the Serrated Dirk, so FBI really trying to invest in this early power.
Interesting to see, though, because if they can get the shove in, they have shove mid, they could go for Dragon. A ward from Evil Genius is what's spotted out. Oh, Dredgeline goes a little wide. If that lands on FBI, that could be big.
Yeah, and Inspired has vision on it, right? They don't necessarily know this, so Inspired is moving over. Annie is getting pushed mid, and then once they have pushed mid, they could potentially go for it, but instead it looks like they're just going to elect to give it up. They're going to take topside scuttle, deny that mark, just give over that early first dragon, and just shove out that mid wave. So a nice little move here from Immortals. I like the look win, but it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, you start the early dragon stack. This is quite early to pick up that first dragon currently. You have the bot priority, so you're utilizing it to the fullest. And like you said, you're trading that Kindred stacking, so you're going to be a little decelerated there, but I'm still happy with it because if you can get those dragons up. What's Inspired looking for right here?
I think he's maybe trying to catch him at the red potentially, but did get pushed back.
Yeah, I was worried for him. I was like, he's getting surrounded, but gets that Dredgeline, lands on FBI, has Flash available if he needs it, so exhaust.
Oh!
Blood! Tactical with a Flash arrow.
Yeah, charging up the Q Flash in, lets it go, and gets the kill there. Really nicely done. Talked about how important it is for this lane.
Oh,
yeah, now
another one! Tactical surely gets this. Fleshy is feeling it today. Do they give it to Tactical? If he's got the Q off cooldown, otherwise Fleshy should have Dredgeline to take this one. Guarantee it. Walks back, fade away! Fleshy gets the kill. Oh! Look for the execute. FBI will get that one, but still a 2-for-1.
Yeah, that's still really good. Honestly, that last kill though, not worth. You're giving a kill over to the Lucian. You know, wanted to try to stay in tower range.
Oh, Jojo walked down. Yeah, Tactical doesn't have flash, doesn't have heal. Jojo's got the Timber smacking him. Do they give it to FBI though? Now Jojo with the thumbs up says, I'll take this kill credit. 2 on the board for EG.
Yeah, can even use Timber to help push that out. He's going to recall. So Lee Sin covering mid. This is always the kind of play you want to see. It is a sign of a good macro team. When you have someone roaming, you have to have someone else covering those waves. You're just losing out on too much. So end of the day, it is 2 for 2. On that bottom side, 1 kill to the Annie, 1 kill to the Lucian. So EG coming out all right, but it is an early lead.
Revenge, all out. This is ambitious. Okay, doesn't get it.
Yeah, not able to get it. And unfortunately for him now, Ssumday has ulti, so he can actually just base and all back and should be in a pretty good spot. We'll see if he in fact does go for this. So we can watch this one more time. Had FBI already used his E? Because on the hook, he doesn't even use it, and we didn't see him use it there, so kind of feels like he maybe just didn't respect it, unless, to give him credit, maybe that he was used just before that and it wasn't off cooldown yet, but really nice all-in play there. The Ignite comes down, the Cleanse is through, and the Tactical just Q, charges it up, flashes in, lets it go, gets the kill.
This is just classic Nautilus. What is that hitbox? There was a minion in front of him, but lands it anyway, and then walks all the way forward.
Oh.
He could have probably walked away. I assume he just didn't expect FBI to be there so fast. Because watch this. Like, you can walk out. You're not going to die to this next turret. Actually, maybe he would have.
Well, and even, he actually W'd.
Yeah.
He actually would have died there, I think, to the previous shot if he hadn't W'd. So a bit of a goof. He also could even be walking up away from towards the jungle. Yeah. So I think there's definitely a way that he could have at least just had an execute there, because I don't think there was even assist credit for Vulcan. Yeah, there wasn't. So it would have been a straight execute, which would have been really nice. Unfortunately for them, it is gold given over. But now you are vulnerable here. No flash on Tactical.
Fleshy will tank the full colon. As FBI lands a nice Q through both of them. So chunked out bot lane now for Immortals.
Yeah, and when you don't have those sums on Varus, you have to be very, very careful. Because Vulcan is 6 now. Inspired can look for another aggressive play. They did spot Kenvi hopping into the brush. You can see the ping on that brush, so they know someone is there. Inspired is going to play side lane, but they don't know that this has actually been warded out as well, and Immortals should definitely not take this fight.
Kenvi's got the stack on Inspired. EG look like they might be willing to take this fight regardless. With Ignite on Fleshy, they can blow somebody up. Inspired finishes the bag. Okay. Does Kenvi want to look for something now? Fleshy's level 6.
They just don't know if Inspired is there or not, right? Because they knew he went into the alcove. They don't know if he's still there. They're going to look now, though. I think they're assuming.
Do they want to throw it at Tactical? Has to set it up, but he's not feeling confident. Plus, there's Cleanse on FBI anyway, so no play.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it's just too risky of a play. Like, we know that Inspired finishes base. They don't. And if you go for that play in and you hook in, Inspired just cues in onto you, you get kicked in the tower, it's a free kill, the play ends. So I think the risk reward is not really worth it. You can see EG's remaining opponents, a couple of teams that are potentially playoff bound here. So it is some important matches.
And after FlyQuest's game earlier today, this is a good week for EG to try and catch that. That's what we're judging this version of EG off of, is can they show at the end of the split in this super week that they have what it takes to get into that top 2. We saw Jet at the top of the day having them go all the way to the finals to challenge Cloud9. I think a strong performance this week could turn a lot of heads to agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the very least, they want to maintain top 4. You want to be in that double elimination portion of the playoffs. You don't want to fall down to 5th, 6th, where it is just 1 life and you are out. So it's a big deal to secure that top 4. EG at the very least has to do that. And hopefully for them, getting into 3rd seed versus 4th seed, that is actually also really important because everyone right now is looking at Cloud9 like the clear #1 team.
Yeah.
So, getting out of 4th and into 3rd would mean you potentially running into someone like FlyQuest instead of Cloud9, who is looking like a much more manageable opponent. So these games are actually incredibly important for EG.
Saying all of that, Immortals are coming out to a slight lead early on here. They get the Herald charge onto the bottom turret. Couple plates for themselves. Second dragon has spawned. And it seems like they might be setting up for it, but there are multiple members of EG around, so I don't think Immortals will fully pull the trigger.
Yeah, I think they might be down to bite it. I mean, they have Galio ult, they're getting mid push, and I feel like they're in a spot where they're comfortable to do it because Tactical has his flashback as well. Inspired is just going to go back to base. That's just going to be sacrificed.
Wow, that is 2 dragons in a row that Evil Geniuses just are not interested in contesting, just given to Immortals.
Yeah, it's honestly a little bit surprising. If you're playing Kindred into the Lee Sin, and you're kind of just in an AFK farm game at 12 minutes, you are sitting really, really pretty. You're going to be feeling good about your position.
Like best case scenario.
Yep. But it is still, really about the playmaking around this 1-item spike for a lot of these members. Lee Sin now has the Gore Drinker. When Gale Force is finished up, when the support mythic is finished up as well, that mandate, that is when I really want to see EG start to push the base. And if they can't create a lead on 1 item, they're going to be in trouble.
Bolulu could be in trouble. Speaking of, Jojo has Tibbers. He just needs to stack up the stun. Vulcan and Inspired. Actually, they're probably looking for Kenvi, assuming that the Kindred might walk up here.
Yeah, his red is up, so they're expecting that he probably is pathing up towards that. But, I mean, if they can get this crashed and no one shows, they can definitely look at this dive.
FBI's nearby, too. Has the coin available. Tibbers used, stun, and a chain CC. Vulcan gets the kill credit. Successful dive for EG.
Yeah, really nicely done. Even FBI showing up there at the right time with the culling to make sure of it. They're going to get at least 1 plate off this. They are losing minions bot, and they lost at least 1 plate. 2 tactical, a third of the game, but 1 on that play. So, not too bad still. Immortals about even on gold still even after that death because of the lost experience gold and the plate on that bot side. So Immortals definitely looking good. Have continued that trend of being very competitive in their games ever since Bolulu has joined.
And if the observers could quickly highlight top lane, because every 14 minutes you are contractually obligated to check in on your top laners. All right, cool. 30 CS lead. Thank you. Now we never have to look at them again for another 14 minutes. We can bring our attention to the rest of the Rift. But speaking of, actually, we do have a potential play because Herald is starting. Silent ulting back up to the top lane. Ssumday might be able to contest this if we have a fight because both teams are posturing nearby.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Revenge has been able to open up a pretty significant CS lead, so is making the most of this counter pick that he had. We'll see if he can actually extend that into a team fight advantage, because that is where I think it is very difficult for the Ksante to make it happen. But so far, it's just EG giving up another objective here, and they're getting nothing on bot side. If you look at where the Lucian is on the map right now, Lucian's just heading down towards bot. You're not trading for damage on the tower. You're not even trading for lost minions. You're actually even coming positive in summoners, so Immortals are kind of just cruising, and EG haven't been able to put them under any pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, what are EG doing, honestly? They're playing an earlier game comp. If you have the Lucian Nami, I expect that to be the lane that's trying to be aggressive and trying to play for the earlier dragons. Okay, Fleshy, we won't mention that. But they have not gotten any significant advantage for themselves anywhere on the map. It's Immortals with 3 objectives unanswered. 4, actually. They got both Heralds.
Yeah, absolutely. They are looking really, really good, but they have hit that big spike that I was talking about. 1 item across all those members is going to be very, very important. So we'll see if EG can find fights now. This is where I really think it is important that they start to pick up the pace of the game, because it is going to become problematic as time goes on. I also want to check in on Kenvi. Has he gotten a second mark? He has. So he's on 2 marks now. No kills, but getting 2 from PvE is always going to be a pretty good spot to be in.
Yeah, and again, he sacrificed the 3rd that he would have for the dragon earlier. 2 dragons earlier stacking, they can start to use that as a pressure point to force EG in. The next one might be where we start to see EG actually contest that. You mentioned the 1 items. It's coming up in a minute and a half, so I'm going to be keeping my eyes on that. How do EG approach and try and set up a vision line before the dragon spawns?
Yeah, I mean, they're getting mid lane pressure, which is step number 1. Now it's about time to move into the river, try to eliminate some of these wards, because Annie and Lee Sin, really want to be playing from Fog. You want to be creating those zones of pressure here. This is Kenvi getting the first jump in on Inspired, chunking him down a little bit. Kenvi as well, has that mythic completed, and it's going pretty aggressive with the Kraken. Looks like he's maybe going towards, Kraken Black Cleaver or something along those lines.
Fleshy over the wall. They have the rogue entrance as well. Chain CC onto Inspired. That's jungler down for EG. Jojo sells the Tibbers. Trying to stack up. Could look for something big here on a Kenvi, but we still have the Kindred ultimate, so Immortals with a crucial jungler pick right before Dragon's coming up.
Yeah, that was a really nice commitment from Immortals as well. I don't think a lot of people would have even looked for that play onto someone like Lee Sin, but they had so much CC that they just fully locked him down. Fleshy flashing in, hook into ult, into Galio ult, into Varus ult, and he just couldn't move until he's almost about to go down.
Fleshy and Bolulu, they were teammates back in Turkey on Nasser. They finished summer 3rd, 4th. They finished the regular season in 1st place, and we saw them be the 1-2 punch, stepping up for Immortals, catching Inspired over the wall. Now, there was a little before Dragon spawned, so now Dragon's coming up. EG can look to still contest this. Let's see if they got it.
But it's still a big kill, and it's also Jojopyun with no flash, and Annie without that flash is so much less of a threat to the backline. Annie needs to try to get back there. Also, no Tibbers, because it was actually used, I think, on bot side, so Kenvi's just going in.
Bolulu just flashes in, sees an Annie, gets the double taunt, plus the Justice Punch. Back on the Vulcan, but Ssumday and Inspired are fighting on the flank right now. The fight is a little split, so Immortals, they commit to the tanks. They commit to Ssumday, pulled over, all out from revenge, and that's top laner down for EG.
Yeah, another kill there for Immortals. They are running the show here, and that is another mark. I heard the sound go off there, so Kenvi now at 3 marks. It's 3 straight dragons here, only 18 minutes in. Immortals really starting to run away with this one, and EG, I think it's going to be hard-pressed to kind of get their way back into it.
And this is the moment, one item for everyone on EG that you had been setting up as their ideal scenario. This is where their composition could look to start fighting, and the fact that you're losing those fights at that moment is really rough for EG's chances. They're going to have to start looking for some more desperate plays to come back.
I mean, their setups have just been kind of rough, right? Like, they have not been the ones starting off, really, it feels like a single fight this whole game. You can see the TP coming in. Bolulu with the home guards just going straight in. Flash on top of Jojo. Remember, he had no flash from that previous fight where they actually picked off Inspired. So he's able to get straight in on top of Jojo, chunking him down. And on the other side of the fight, it's a Sion just getting scooped back and ulted away, separated out from the team. They take that one easy kill. They know that guarantees them the dragon, and things are looking tough for EG.
My favorite part about that is that was a true Zoe player. He was walking up to the Ssumday, but he was watching FBI the entire time. He was like, all right, I'm going to hang out over here in case the team needs me, but I'm watching for that Lucian in case he jumps in and tries to go for anything. Immortals are in a fantastic spot right now. They have Dragon Soul on the horizon in 4 minutes' time. And EG have yet to find a purchase in this game.
Yeah, now Jojo is actually in some trouble here with the...
No flash still.
Yeah.
As the Tibbers throwing it out early, does get the stun, and now Revenge will say, all right, maybe I don't want to take this one. There's enough time for Evil Geniuses to send backup. Speaking of, Revenge could be in some trouble now, but he's got that outer turret still. EG's haven't even taken that. So he's fine.
Yep, able to just back it up, forces the Tibbers out, in a situation where it's just basically used defensively, and at the same time, they're taking the tower top. You can see it's another scuttle here with a mark there, so Kenvi already at 4 marks here before that big fight that we're going to be talking about, the soul fight here. So Kenvi is going to have much more access towards some of those carries. It's so much easier with that additional range to really be hitting champions like Lucian, like Annie, and still staying safe from the front line.
And you see, this is what EG has to do from this position. Look for these little fish plays. Throw out the Sonic Wave into a Fog of War. Throw out the Nami Bubble into Fog of War. See if you can do anything. So while EG look for a reminder, we got the Fairy Court coming to LCS.
That's going to be tomorrow. We have some activities going on after the show as well, so you guys may want to check that out if you're in the LA area. But Immortals now, multiple
Are you going to wear a costume?
Pardon me?
Are you wearing a costume for the Fairy Court?
I do not have a costume.
No, we should get you some wings,
Yeah, we'll have to set it up.
Some lights.
Yeah,
I can
there
see
you
it.
go. Yeah, a little LED setup. But double marksman here on 2 items now for Immortals. They're looking really, really good. Black Cleaver completed for Kenvi. Rage Blade through as well for Tactical here on the Varus. things are looking really dire for EG. And this is just kind of not the EG that I feel like we're used to seeing, where they have been extremely passive. They have not really been proactive on any plays, it feels like, whatsoever. And it just doesn't seem like the best version of them.
When we set up the beginning of the game, this was EG's opportunity to take that second place spot, to get themselves at least back in the conversation. I think it's safe to say they are not doing that yet. Now, they are feeling under the weather. We did hear at least one of them feeling symptoms. That's why they're playing remote. Sometimes I can factor into decision-making in games, play a little sluggish, but I don't want to give them too much leeway because they are still a elite team in this region that we have high expectations for.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is our last chance to really kind of judge them before playoffs, right? To kind of evaluate how strong this team is going to be, to help you with your predictions going into playoffs. You kind of have to judge based on what you're seeing. It is definitely a shame if the players are not feeling well. They're not able to play here on stage today. But as you say, you can only really evaluate what you're seeing. And EG definitely looking sluggish, not really getting proactive whatsoever so far in this game.
And Immortals are poised to take this Dragon Soul. It's up in a minute's time. They got stopwatch on Kenvi, stopwatch on Bolulu. They have very impactful team fight items that they can start playing around. And I don't see a big world where, a likely world, that EG's able to find something here. Unless they can get a pick before the Dragon, maybe they can catch a straggler.
Yeah, you have to find a good angle, try to chunk someone with the culling, or find some sort of ability to pick.
Vulcan says, I'll do it myself. Bubble lands. Oh, but Kenvi gets away from the Tibbers stun. That is heroic entrance out from Bolulu. So one ult down from Immortals. It's traded for Jojo and Vulcans.
Honestly, I think that's still really positive for IMT. I'm down to trade Galio ult for the Tibbers. That is their main kind of really explosive engage here. Now the TVs are coming in. They're going to fight for this, but Bolulu's looking to potentially have a long wrap around here.
Do you remember Bolulu's Galio flank last week? He spent about a minute in that tri-bush waiting for somebody to come his way. This time EG have to walk into them. EG will get this turret. That's gold in their pocket, but it's not gold they can spend before the Dragon. It's up in 3 seconds. So Immortals, they have this brush set up. Inspired's got a flank. How do they want to approach? Ooh, Fleshy's marking Inspired. If they can keep eyes on Inspired, they can just take this Dragon. Revenge can just ult Inspired out of the pit.
Remember, Bolulu's still over the wall. He was spotted, though. They actually stepped out of the brush. They know he's there now.
Jojo has stun, but he still does not have the Tibbers. Bolulu over the wall. Immortals are not committing to the Dragon. They haven't decided if they want to just go for it and then keep Inspired out, guarantee it. They're still a little worried. FBI might be the hero here for Evil Geniuses. Lucian with 2 items still can do a lot of damage in situations like this. As Evil Geniuses are walking up, Revenge trying to buffer the CC. Fleshy goes in, Bolulu with the 4! Jam Todd blows up Evil Geniuses, and Immortals get a double kill for Tactical, winning this fight easily. And they're gonna get the Dragon right afterward. Even Inspired's not getting out of that one. Playing around with the Dragon Wall, might get Kenvi. Claims his fight's down. If Inspired can take down a kill, maybe that's some for him, but he's taken out. Immortals win the fight.
Immortals win the fight, and they could even potentially go straight towards Baron. We'll see if they want to go for it. The respawns are not that long, but Vulcan's still out on the map. Fleshy is hunting, Bolulu is hunting.
Vulcan's gonna get caught too. Fleshy, oh, Dredge Line just missing. But he's walking around, all you need is an auto, but they get a flash out of the Nami.
Yeah, gonna get the flash, and I still think you start the Baron, 17 seconds here on Inspired respawning, you have double marksman, you can kill this off incredibly quickly, and that is gonna be Soul, that is gonna be Baron, and almost certainly that is going to be the game here for Immortals, crushing EG to start off Super Week.
This is 25 minutes. This is not a late game. Oh, Kindred came online, they outscaled, they got a little sloppy for EG. No! This was Immortals from the first Dragon, exhibiting control through the bot lane, roaming around getting every neutral objective. EG haven't gotten anything, gotten 1 turret.
Yeah, it's been a rough one for them, and it's all about this flank coming through. You know, Inspired does get into the back line. He gets a kick onto Kenvi, but honestly, who cares? They get nothing with it. And that flash forward, the taunt on all 4 members there in that EG back line. Revenge just piling in, straight in, on top of FBI. He's able to go all out, take him out on the back line. Inspired did a good job delaying, but it doesn't really matter. It's not going to get them much of anything here. Immortals get the Soul, they get another mark. That's now 5 for Kenvi, and they are just running away.
You know what we call that? The Turkish 2-tap. You know, the Nautilus ult into 4, and the Galio Todd did the 4. You know, we gotta start naming things here for Bolulu and Fleshy.
Jojo didn't do a lot of damage in that one.
Oh, uh-oh. That's a 96 damage. Annie I guess that's what happens when you're on Thibbers, and you just get engaged down.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of the fight. Speaking of, Inspired looking for an engage right now. They kick Revenge in, but he is fine. He is tanky. He's got a big old Galio backing him up, so no play for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, pops the stone plate. He is chilling. That is a 3-item Ksante, who has looked really strong in this game. And after I was talking about not really liking this matchup, they're going to try to find Kenvi now.
Double onslaught and teleport coming in from Immortals. They want this fight. They say, you started it, but we will finish it. Cashing FBI away from the rest of the team. They'll even get Ssumday. And this is surely just the end of the game. They have Baron buff. They have all members up, 5v3. They can walk this wave in.
Yeah, they're just gonna march it in. It looks like they want to go for some kills instead. Revenge chasing Vulcan across the base here.
Inspired will play goalie as he tries to save his support. Jojo's here. Revenge. This might have been ambitious, but the team is backing him up. Inspired, separated from everyone else in the dredge line, even onto Jojo. Lands a stun onto Fleshy. All right, Inspired's down. Can Immortals still end the game? 10 seconds for FBI. They're onto the Nexus turrets. They don't have a wave. They're just going for the kills. Vulcan's down. Jojopyun running to the safety of his inhibitor turret, but he ain't even safe there, buddy. Immortals playing upset here and making the playoff race very interesting. Where were you when Immortals upset Evil Geniuses? They're looking for the ace. Ssumday gets back to the fountain. Immortals might not even care about it. They can focus the Nexus, but they want that kill. Give it to him, Ssumday. It doesn't matter. Give him the win.
14-3, not even 28 minutes into the game. Immortals taking down EG. A huge upset to kick off the week here, and it's a second win now with Bolulu.
Yeah.
This team definitely feeling like they're getting in a groove here. You know, getting some comfort here on these picks. You know,
Give him a hug, Revenge. Give him the hug, yeah.
Oh, man. EG, of course, playing remote again today. But it's Immortals the story is about. The Ksante, you know, getting actually a really big CS advantage in the late phase, having some really successful team fights, you know, separating people out in a number of different instances. You know, early on towards the dragon fight, he separates out Ssumday to get an easy kill